we can see here, this is the coil number 1 here, and this coil have 3 wires, but it's no coil unplugged. It is controlled by the computer throughout here, the primary ignition control directly. It's not like a coil unplugged, like the computer control the base of the transistor inside. And they basically have 2 grounds, these coils. We can see this is ground, and this is power. Oh, sorry. Power, ground, and control. So it has 1 ground, 1 power, and the control side. So what happened here is when I was connected here is the primary control we can see throughout there. That is to synchronize my current clamp, because I have my clamp around here to see all 6 cylinders and number 1. So that way we can synchronize in firing order. And what happened is with my firing order, we can see the cylinder 2 was weak. And when we scanned for coils, we saw number 2 and 4 were misfiring. However, the cause of the misfire on this vehicle is not the coils. Granted, coil number 2 is weak. However, the problem we are having here is excessive crankage pressure. The oil separator is damaged on this one and is not regulating appropriately the amount of vacuum which you have. So we're having an internal vacuum leak on this engine. That means on this engine shouldn't be more than 10 inches of water, and we have over 30. So that is a large vacuum leak. That's what I was checking. So, but I was suspecting originally coils. That's why I connected here, and I wanted to see if I had any issue. We're only looking here at the primary side only of the coil, not the secondary. However, most of the problem we can see it through there, and this one mirrors the secondary ignition, but I was using that most for synchronizing. So the problem was the excessive crankage pressure, as you can see at the end. Pay attention on the gauge, and you see when I connect it, it's over 30. It should be under 10. Here I have the waveform I was taking there. As you can see on the red, I have my courier map, and on my blue trace I have my ignition coil control from the computer when it is applying the ground to saturate the coil. So basically from here we can see to over here we can see the 6 cylinder. So basically this is number 1, cylinder 1. Look at the firing order here. So I have the firing order here. So 1, 5, 3, 6, 2, 4, and we repeat the number 1. Okay, what is the idea I have behind doing this? So I was suspecting we had any problem related to a coils, because we have multiple cylinder misfire. However, when we scan the vehicle, it say cylinder 2 and 4, I believe, and multiple cylinders. Okay, what happened here? I'm looking for the comparing the current ramp in between cylinders. As we can see here, the cylinder number 4 here has very low amperage comparing to the rest, probably like 7, while this one will be like 12. So, and that is constant, because when I start comparing here, look, so it is basically all the time, it's doing that. Okay, so that's why sometimes we recommend 6 coils, because the computer internal is comparing the differences in between cylinder and cylinder. So there are some misfires. Some people cannot figure out if they don't have this tool, because you get good sparks supposedly, but the computer is comparing internal in between each coil how much current that drawing. I remember a Nissan, I think. This guy were putting a coil, one coil only, an aftermarket coil. And I think we fixed it only with one coil, but from the dealer, because that one was provided the same amount of amperage, and that one was pretty much what we were looking at that one. On that Nissan, I think that one was drawing more amperage than the rest of those, the aftermarket. And they were getting a coil P0300, I think, any cylinder misfire, or unidentified cylinder misfire, something like that. So just something to keep in mind, when we're looking at this. So basically right here, we didn't find our issue here. In our case, of course, I'm gonna recommend the coils on this because the coil is weak and they were saturating oil on the secondary side because it was leaking oil, the valve cover. However, our main problem was, as we remember there, pay attention when I was doing the tool, when I'm checking that one. I removed the dipstick, and when I inserted the tool there, it was giving me over 20 inches of water. This vehicle should have less than the 10 inches of water under normal condition. So here we have an internal vacuum leak on this engine, which is the problem is the oil separator. It's called like crankcase regulator too. Very common to fail on these Germany vehicles, BMW and Volkswagen, Audi. But look at something else I wanted to show you here. This vehicle is producing multiple sparks at idle. So when this vehicle is idle, sometimes I see it's producing like even 6 or 7 sparks. So what we're looking at here is right here when the coil is, well, let me first zoom a little bit more on this area. Okay, so right here is on this area here, system voltage 13.8 volts on the blue trace, 804 millivolts. So right here is when the computer is applying the ground all the way from here to here, was saturating the coil for 2.5 milliseconds. Remember, but this one is only the first saturation because this one is 7, I think 6 or 7 was on this case. However, pay attention on the red trace here. This is when the is occurring the induction in between the primary and the secondary ignition system. So when you try to get together two magnets, what happens? They don't want to get together, and that is the activity we're looking here. And then it goes in ramp. Whenever they are shorter, this one goes straight here. On this area, they go straight. And on the other end, we can see here the first, right here, from here to here, is when it was occurring the burn time. This is when the cylinder is burning the internal well, this is when the spark is occurring throughout the spark plug. However, this is only one. It's only one because we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sparks, multi-spark idle. So this is, wanted to show this. I have seen this on Ford before, where they do this multiple sparks, but I have to think Ford those like 3 or something like that. But this one they do a lot. When this vehicle is warm, it becomes like a normal vehicle, like only one. Or when you accelerate, this is what you see basically, like this, only one.